Hey guys, what's up? So, been a while. I feel like I owe you guys some hand reviews, so I'm just gonna dive in there. I have the forum up, basically gonna see how many hand reviews I can do, and let's get into it. So, Linus versus Flushy heads up. 100, 200, Linus goes 2.5x. Standard size, Flushy 3 bets to 2k. Standard size, Linus calls. So, heads up 100 deep. 4x is a good go-to size. It's a bit smaller than you see in 6max because 6max has added that money because it has 2 blinds. So we get a Jack 8 for two-tone board. Flushy starts out with a quarter pot bet and playing a range bet, probably because it's disconnected. And I think in heads up, my cards are actually better for the caller because all the offsuit Broadway. It's weird. Either way, range bet, that's what you guys should have in your head. Turn deuce of diamonds. So brick, but one that brings in 2 flush draws. 2 flush draws make it that people fast play more, and so in 3-bet pots, you sometimes see overbet shoves on a turn, or check shoves on a turn, or you bet and the other guy shoves, right? The pot is so big that protecting from the 2 flush draws becomes more important. Flushy checks, and after a range bet on the flop, the checking range is going to have the obvious hands, like say pocket sevens or ace 10, right? Hands that are basically done betting and trying to show down. Also going to have some traps. So he checks Linus, bets 2/3, Flushy shoves. So trap or bluff, you can imagine him bluffing with a combo draw or something like that. Linus makes the call, and we have Flushy with the open-ended straight draw with a 5-6 off, and Linus with 4 deuce for turn 2 pair. I think fairly inaccurate check shove by Flushy, but I'm not allowed to think that because Flushy's a much better player than I am. So I am going to test that theory out. Of course, I have to be wrong because these guys are the goats of heads up. But in my experience, on a board with 2 flush draws, you want a stronger draw than a 6 high open-ender, basically. I just check fold the 5-6, be like, oh well, unfortunate bet size by Linus. You guys can see 5-6 off, not even 3-betting. If you had it, you'd only check the ones that don't have a flush draw. But yeah, if you check and Linus bets, can you shove 5-6 no flush draw? The answer is no. You can actually call it, but you shove the combo draws, which I think is, kind of intuitive. So this is a bit out there. Always interesting to see these guys doing stuff out there. You have to assume Flushy knows this is out there. He does have the club and the diamond, so maybe that makes it a bit more okay. Okay, next hand, Linus raises, Flushy 3-bets, Linus calls. All the sizings you guys are going to see are normal. Ace 6 7 two-tone, quarter pot call, jack turn, check, right? So quarter pot betting everything, check. Kings, queens, jack X, 10s, 9s, 8s, give ups, some traps. So he checks Linus, that's big, he calls. So what does it mean, the fact that he called? Well, of course his give ups are out, so we're weighing him more towards ace, deuce, pocket kings, pocket queens, jack X, 7x, hands like that. He's gonna have a few draws, though he probably check raises or bets most of them. And he's gonna have a tiny amount of traps, not too many left at this point. River check check. Linus shows down 10-9, so stabs turn rivers enough showdown, and he does win against 7-8. Standardly played hand there. And next one is a single raise pot. Flushy raises, Linus calls, ace 10 deuce two-tone. You see Flushy again with a quarter pot bet. Looks like he's kind of maybe simplifying and just doing this as a catch-all, which, with someone this good, interesting to see how he doesn't think getting the accuracy bet sizing is very important. So he quarter pots, betting everything. Linus calls, turn jack of spades, and heads up, the out of position player doesn't have king queen. He would 3-bet it, but he does have flushes, and right after the small bet, if you get a brick, you start betting huge, but when you get a draw coming in like a flush, both players have flushes, so suddenly we want to bet more of a normal size, which Flushy does, and Linus min raises him, which I'm surprised to see. Not a line I'm too familiar with, but presumably flushes and flush blockers. River 7 of diamonds shouldn't change too much. I think if Flushy has something like 8-9, would have to assume he folds it on the turn. And so kind of a brick Linus block bets, which is weird. after the check min raise. So I guess what he's saying is he has a low flush or a 2-pair or something. It's a weird line, guys. But yeah, he's kind of continuing with the theme of hand wants a medium hand strength. Flush he shoves, so he's saying, I have a flush, man. He does, he has enough flush. Linus called off with 2-pair with a spade blocker, which I guess is the centerpiece of his line. I didn't know this is a thing. I'm very shocked. We'll bring up Mr. Solver to check in on these guys again. We'll add in a min raise. Who would have thought a min raise is a thing? I don't see it, but Linus sees it. Doesn't look like it's a thing, guys. I will say if you're gonna do it, Jack 10's an okay hand. It only loses a tiny bit, but yeah, I don't understand this play. So these guys are playing tricks. This is not a pure theory match. Again, you have to assume Linus knows this is not a thing here. So there's some exploit, counter exploit going on. Okay, Linus raises to 500, flushy calls. We have 9 deuce 4 two-tone. Big c-bet by Linus. Linus being more accurate with a c-bet sizing, so he's polarizing his range. Not gonna bet so much pocket 3s or ace 8 or hands like that. Gonna be more 9x plus centered. Turn ace, which for Linus's range is not amazing. He pots. I don't know that you can keep doing that with something like a 9 or 10s jacks queens. It might have to be the ace-x that you see bet with. I'm not sure. I'm not proficient enough. Maybe you can put in another bet with the tall pair hands and then check back the river. Flushy check raises him. Basically feels like he's saying aces up. And then deuce river check check. Flushy shows 4-5 for a very badass turn bluff that pattern recognition wise looks fine to me. Linus had queen 9, so apparently thin enough to bet. I'd have to assume he was checking back the river. Think standard hand, it might look crazy, but queen 9 big bets, it barrels the turn. It's good enough. You folded out a bunch of ace-x with your big flop bet. You get raised, bluff catching mode. This is the center of your range in a way, so you need to call it sometimes. And yeah, kind of normal hand. Okay, raise 3-bet, call 2100 raise. So we're adding a bit. Jack 8 two-tone. Linus goes for a pot size bet. So again, much more polarized line. Aiming to shove the turn to deny equity from draw. So imagine flushy has a flush draw or something like an open ender. He'd have to call for fold turn unimproved, which sucks. So these kind of sizings make a lot of sense on boards with lots of decent draws. Or at least that's part of it. Flushy shoves, Linus calls, flushy has king jack, looks fine. Linus has king queen of hearts, 2 overs with a flush draw, looks fine. They chop the pot. Okay, flushy and Linus. Flushy 500, Linus 2100. Flushy calls, jack 8-4 monotone. Monotone boards in 3-bet pots make it so that your advantage as the 3-better with aces and such is much, much lessened, and so similar to Linus's hand with a jack 10, you aim for a smaller pot size, so you start out with smaller bets, which Linus does. If you remember, jack 8-4 two-tone, he went for a pot size bet. Here he goes for like a 10% pot size bet, plus, which could presumably his entire range, maybe not full frequency, but that's what you have to assume with a small bet. Flushy raises, so for value, probably a decent top pair with a heart, but mostly flushes sets 2 pairs. Turn ace, flushy keeps barreling, think same range. And ace definitely might improve Linus. River ace, check check. Flushy shows a flop 2-pair that got counterfeited on the river. I think played very, very reasonably. Linus just had king jack of diamonds. Again, just looks well played. Maybe you can fold a turn with this. I wouldn't be shocked. It looks close because it's a pair with no heart. You need to find some folds, so feels like pair plus no heart is a good place to start. 500 2k call, 337 two-tone. Here flushy goes half pot. On these low boards you can't really bet smaller. Your opponent just floats everything to try to hit a pair. This might be a range bet. Turn 5 of hearts. Classically speaking, flushes coming in 3-bet pots slow the out of position player down. Again, his advantage comes from over pairs and good offsuit hands. And so this really negates his pre-flop advantage, and his opponent has way more suited hands. But yeah, he keeps barreling, which is certainly fine. You do this with some draws and some, yeah, even an overpair with a heart is good enough. A river jack of diamonds. Flushy goes for the shove. I assume he could do this, maybe even with a jack, maybe with worse than a jack. Linus calls. Either way, Linus has ace jack with a heart. And plays itself, I think, no question on any street. Flushy, 9-8 offsuit with a heart, so that flop makes sense. And then the rest of the hand, I can see it. I don't think it's full frequency or anything, but turn the combo draw, barrel it, miss the river on bottom of my range. But yeah, looks like a reasonable hand. Okay, single raise pot. 6-4-3 two-tone Linus starts out with a big bet. These are actually uncommon on these very connected boards. Maybe this board is low enough where Linus doesn't care, but this is a bit surprising to me. Usually I see smaller bets here. Turn, jack of diamonds, flush comes in. Linus keeps barreling. Again, he's not going to overbet on a flush coming in. He might overbet on an offsuit jack. And he's just going to have bluffs, and who knows how thin you can go, maybe 7s plus. River jack of hearts. Linus pots with the king high flush, gets called by the 10 high flush. I'm fairly surprised, guys. I would have expected more money to somehow go in. We'll quickly check this. I'm so curious when these top guys play. And we've already seen stuff isn't exactly as we expect all the time. Definitely some leveling and stuff going on. You can see the solver would pick a lower size. These things don't matter, by the way. I just mention them because I noticed them. Not everything I say is necessarily very relevant. Like, the solver preferred sizing doesn't affect your win rate in any way. So jack of diamonds, keep betting, and his opponent has 10-4 of diamonds, right? So mostly calling. And then the river was another jack. It does create boats, but somehow I would have expected more money to go in. So let's put him multiple sizes for Linus. And we'll see that, yeah, king high flush goes into pot a lot. And his opponent with 10-4 of diamonds. So this is a hand I was very often you check raise flushes against a pot size bet here. It looks like you need basically the queen high flush to check raise, which is 10 high is right on the cusp. It's almost there, but not quite. And then you also bluff sometimes with like ace of diamonds 3, king of diamonds 3. And were he to check shove, Linus would of course call his king high flush draw, but not be super thrilled about it. So yeah, this is just me getting my thresholds wrong, and what it's worth, if the river did not pair the board, so let's put a 10 of hearts out there, and we'd see Linus pot the river. Of course, all the sizes go up a ton, but yeah, and 10-4 would check shove. So just the board pairing creates apparently enough boats to not let that happen. And yeah, let's wrap up this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'll start making more videos soon. See you guys in the next one.